sailors see something rise from the black water. A massive shape, pale and twisting, longer than any fish he has ever seen. For a moment, it looks like a sea serpent, then it vanishes. For thousands of years, humans have reported monsters in the dark. Creatures with horns, wings, claws, glowing eyes, and impossible size. But what if some of those monsters were never completely imaginary? What if the world's most terrifying legends began with real bones, real animals, and real fear? Every culture has monsters. Ancient Greeks told stories of Cyclops, one-eyed giants living far from civilization. Across old trade routes, people spoke of Griffins, creatures with the body of a lion and the beak of an eagle. Sailors warned of sea serpents. Villagers described hairy giants in the forest. And in modern times, the stories continued. Bigfoot in North America, Nessie in Scotland, Mothman in West Virginia. The names changed, the fear stayed the same. But the mystery is not just whether these creatures are real. The deeper question is this: why do humans keep seeing monsters? And why do so many legends seem to begin with something real? Long before modern science, people found strange bones in the earth. Massive skulls, huge teeth, curved tusks, bones that looked too large to belong to any known animal. Today, we understand that many of these remains came from extinct creatures: mammoths, mastodons, dinosaurs, ancient reptiles. But in the ancient world, a person who found a giant skull had no museum, no fossil chart, and no paleontologist to explain it. They had only one question: what kind of creature could this have been? One of the most famous theories connects mammoth skulls to the myth of the Cyclops. A mammoth skull has a large central opening in the front. To modern scientists, that opening is where the trunk attached. But to someone thousands of years ago, it could look like one enormous eye socket. A giant skull. A single hole. A monster story waiting to be born. This does not prove that the Cyclops myth came from mammoth remains, but it shows how a real fossil could inspire a terrifying idea. A giant once lived here, and it had one eye. Another famous theory connects the griffin to fossils found in Central Asia. The griffin was described as a powerful creature with features of both lion and bird. Some researchers have suggested that ancient discoveries of Protoceratops fossils may have influenced these stories. Protoceratops had a beak-like mouth. It walked on 4 legs. Its skull could look strange and intimidating to someone who had never seen a dinosaur fossil before. To modern eyes, it is an extinct animal. To ancient travelers, traders, or storytellers, it may have looked like evidence of a powerful beast from another world. Again, this is not confirmed fact. It is a theory, but it shows something important. Myths do not always appear from nothing. Sometimes they grow around the remains of creatures that were real, but no longer alive. Then there are dragons. Almost every part of the world has some kind of dragon-like creature. In Europe, dragons were often winged, fire-breathing beasts guarding treasure. In East Asia, dragons were often powerful, serpent-like beings connected to water, storms, and cosmic balance. In other places, giant snakes, horned reptiles, and flying monsters filled the same role. There is no single origin for dragons, but several real-world influences may have shaped them. Large snake sightings, crocodiles, monitor lizards, fossil bones, volcanoes, lightning, and the very human fear of predators. To an ancient community, a crocodile emerging from a river would have seemed like a creature from a nightmare. Armored skin, cold eyes, a mouth full of teeth. Dragons may not come from one animal. They may be a fusion of many fears. The snake in the grass, the predator in the water, the bones under the earth, the fire in the mountain. A monster made from everything humans were right to fear. On land, bones created legends. At sea, the legends moved. For sailors, the ocean was the perfect place for monsters. It was vast, dark, unmapped, and almost impossible to verify. A creature could appear for a few seconds, break the surface, and disappear forever. Before photography, sonar, and modern marine biology, A strange sighting at sea could become a legend by the time the ship returned to shore. Some sea monster stories may have been inspired by real animals. The giant oarfish is one of the strongest examples. It can grow extremely long. It has a strange ribbon-like body. It moves in a way that can look unnatural near the surface. To someone seeing it in rough water, especially centuries ago, it could easily resemble a sea serpent. Then there are giant squid. For a long time, giant squid were treated almost like legend. Sailors told stories of huge tentacled creatures attacking ships or rising from the deep. Today, giant squid are recognized as real animals. They are rare, elusive, and difficult to observe alive. But they are not supernatural, they are biology. And that is where the mystery becomes more interesting, because sometimes the monster was real. It was just misunderstood. But legendary creatures did not disappear with modern science. They changed form. Today, we often call them cryptids. A cryptid is an animal claimed to exist, but not confirmed by science. Cryptozoology is the search for such animals. It is different from folklore, which is the study of traditional stories, beliefs, and legends. That difference matters. A folklore story can be culturally important without being biologically real. A cryptid claim asks a harder question. Where is the evidence? Bigfoot is one of the most famous cryptids in the world. Reports often describe a large, hairy, human-like creature walking through forests in North America. The story has deep roots in local legends, wilderness fears, and modern eyewitness accounts. For believers, Bigfoot represents a hidden species still avoiding human discovery. For skeptics, the evidence does not meet scientific standards. There are alleged footprints, blurry videos, eyewitness claims, and stories. But there is no widely accepted physical proof, no confirmed body, no verified DNA, no specimen recognized by mainstream science. And yet, Bigfoot remains powerful. Not because it is proven, but because it lives in the borderland between possibility and doubt. The forest is still huge. The night still hides things. And humans still wonder what might be watching from the trees. The legend is not about an undiscovered ape. It is about something stranger. A winged figure, glowing eyes, a shape seen at night. The Mothman story is tied to alleged sightings and local fear, especially in West Virginia. Some people interpret it as a supernatural omen. Others suggest misidentified birds, darkness, stress, rumor, or cultural panic. Scientifically, there is no confirmed evidence of a real Mothman creature. But as folklore, it is incredibly powerful. It shows how a place can become haunted by a story. A few sightings become rumors. Rumors become warnings. Warnings become legend. And eventually, the creature becomes part of the identity of the place itself. Then there is Nessie. The Loch Ness Monster is one of the most famous aquatic cryptids ever reported. The idea is simple and unforgettable. A large unknown creature living in a deep Scottish lake. Some imagine a surviving prehistoric reptile. Others suggest waves, logs, large fish, hoaxes, or mistaken sightings. Once again, the scientific evidence has not confirmed the creature, but the legend refuses to die. Why? Because Loch Ness feels like the kind of place where something could hide. Deep water does that to the human mind. It creates a blank space, and in that blank space, imagination begins to move. This is where the line becomes important. Mystery is not the same as proof. A strange footprint is not automatically a monster. A blurry video is not automatically a new species. A witness can be honest and still be mistaken. Science does not reject monsters because they are strange. Science rejects claims when the evidence is not strong enough. There are real examples of animals once thought unlikely or unknown becoming scientifically recognized. But those discoveries required physical evidence, bodies, bones, clear photographs, repeated observation, testable data. Speculative biology can ask interesting questions. Could a large animal remain hidden in a remote forest? Could deep oceans contain creatures we have never seen? Could legends preserve distorted memories of real animals? Those are reasonable questions, but pseudoscience goes further. It treats weak evidence as certainty. It turns gaps in knowledge into proof. It says, we do not know, therefore the monster is real. That is not investigation, that is belief wearing a lab coat. The better approach is more careful. Some legends may come from fossils. Some may come from rare animals. Some may come from hoaxes. Some may come from fear, memory, or misunderstanding. And some may remain unresolved, not because they are proven monsters, but because the world is complicated and human perception is fragile. When we follow the evidence, a pattern appears. Ancient people found enormous bones. They imagined giants, dragons, and hybrid beasts. Sailors saw rare marine animals. They described serpents and tentacled horrors. Communities experienced fear, isolation, or tragedy. They created figures like Mothman. Modern witnesses entered forests, lakes, and mountains. They came back with stories of Bigfoot, Nessie, and other unknown things. Different times, different places, same process. A real experience meets limited information. Then the human mind fills the darkness. Sometimes it fills it with a fossil, sometimes with an animal, sometimes with a warning, sometimes with a monster. But skeptics have a strong point. If Bigfoot is a real breeding population, where is the body? If Nessie is a large animal in a lake, where is the clear evidence? If Mothman was biological, why did it not leave physical traces? These questions matter. A single creature can be hard to find, but a species needs food, space, reproduction, and a population. Large animals leave signs: bones, waste, nests, hair, DNA. The absence of strong evidence does not always prove something is impossible, but it does make extraordinary claims weaker. That is why the most responsible answer is not all monsters are real. It is also not all witnesses are lying. The truth is more human than that. People see things. People misremember things. People interpret strange moments through the stories they already know. And sometimes, those stories outlive the facts that created them. So what are legendary creatures? Maybe they are not one thing. Maybe they are a mixture. Fossils turned into giants. Rare animals turned into sea serpents. Predators turned into dragons. Dark roads turned into winged omens. Forests turned into Bigfoot country. Deep lakes turned into homes for ancient beasts. The hidden truth may not be that monsters are secretly roaming everywhere. The hidden truth may be that monsters are how humans explain the unknown before evidence arrives. They are fear with a shape, memory with teeth, nature misunderstood. And sometimes, nature was strange enough. A mammoth skull buried in the ground, a squid rising from the deep, a ribbon-like fish breaking the surface at night, a bear standing upright in the trees, a bird's eyes glowing in headlights. For 1 second, the world looks impossible, and a legend is born. We like to think modern science has killed the monster, but it is not. It has only moved the monster farther away, into deeper water, older bones, darker forests, blurrier footage, and unanswered questions. Maybe humans need monsters because monsters mark the edge of what we know. They remind us that the world was never fully safe, never fully mapped, never fully explained. And somewhere between evidence and imagination, the old creatures still wait. Not always in the wilderness, not always in the sea, but in the oldest part of the human mind. The part that sees a shadow and gives it claws.